Jakey Boy wants to know, I tiny whoop, but I also want to get into some 3.5-inch cinematic stuff. Should I get HD0, Walksnail, or DJI? Most of the people running like cinematic stuff are using DJI. The advantage of DJI is exceptionally good range and penetration and 4K onboard recording with quite good image quality. Technically, the Walksnail Moonlight also ticks those boxes, but it's not as popular as DJI in the sort of cinematic market. The increased latency of DJI compared to HD0 is not really a big deal because cinematic flying is usually slow and smooth. And the increased penetration of Walksnail and DJI is a big plus when doing cinematic stuff compared to HD0. So I would say for cinematic 3.5-inch, 3.5-inch is big enough to carry a Walksnail or DJI VTX without worrying about the weight, and the additional latency of HD0 isn't really an appeal there. I would say pick Walksnail or DJI depending on which of those seems the best to you, and go with that. Wes Magyar wants to know, how bad is the range loss using the Goggles 2 with the stock antennas with a Vista? I'm planning on getting the RPSMA adapter for it, but I was wondering if I should just hold off on updating my Vistas to work with the G2 until I get the adapter and just keep using my V2s with the Vista. The difference in range between the G2 with stock antennas compared to the Vista, I see. So you're going to keep the Vista, but you're switching from the V2 goggles to the G2 goggles. Well, I'm going to guess on your V2s that you have aftermarket antennas, because most people do. And that means you're going from a patch antenna with like 5 or 7 dB of gain to an Omni antenna with like 2 dB of gain. So you're losing maybe 3 dB of gain there. And in addition, the antennas on the Vista are circular polarized. The antennas on the G2 are linear polarized. So you're losing maybe 3 dB of gain there. That's approximately 6 dB of gain. And that conveniently works out to about half the range. I want you to realize that that is a very, very rough number, and reality obviously will have some variance. But if I had to ballpark it, I'd say roughly half the range. The other thing to keep in mind is that the Vista, its output power, its behavior changes when you flash it to firmware to let it work with the G2. And I believe people are seeing reduced range with the Vista. Or is that the O3? Blenty, is this ringing a bell to you? If not, then so be it. I think we talked about something like this recently. The Vista having different range when used with the V2 versus the G2.
A little bit, but I don't know anything about the reason for it or changes or anything like that.
Are you remembering that the Vista
has less range and penetration on the G2 than the V2, but I don't know why or how or what that reasoning is.
So it's very difficult to do like an apples to apples where the antenna are removed from the equation. So it certainly could just be the antennas. I think you'll have less range moving your Vistas to the G2, and that seems to be consistent with most people's experience, though.